up, G-Show Land, and welcome to another episode of the G-Show Podcast. I am G1, and this is the Godzilla Block Party. Oh boy! Listen, we're getting closer and closer and closer to all things Godzilla. Last week or the week before last, I was tired. We were done. We were burnt out, and that's crazy to say that because Godzilla is life. But there was so much Godzilla news coming out, from the -1 official trailer to the Monarch Legacy of Monsters trailer, all within the same week, to Gamera Rebirth. It was just absolutely nuts. And we needed to take a week off to recoup. But now that we did, Toho, you sly motherfuckers, they have been dropping some promotional images for Godzilla -1, and good God almighty, are they tasty! But I'm not going to eat this feast alone. No! Joining me on the feast today is my right hand when it comes to Godzilla on the Godzilla Block Party on the G-Show Podcast. You know him as Megzy, a.k.a. G73, a.k.a. my brother Chase. How the hell are you?
Gosh, man, I feel like it's like Christmas for the next couple months. For us, I mean, for Japan, it's going to be till November, but for us, it's going to be till December. And the thing is now that, Godzilla -1 is like, their Avengers Infinity War film being over there, it's going to be promotional images and information for a while. So it's like, it's going to be cool, but you got to be careful what you see, because soon they're going to start doing the news stuff, and they're going to get those little TV spots and stuff, and we got to stay away from all of that. But it's going to be so hard, like candy. And man, or in this case, yeah, it's going to be tough, but I'm doing all right, man. I'm excited for this Godzilla -1, dude. This film has me extremely hyped.
Same. I don't think no Godzilla fan right now is shitting on this movie. I mean, and the ones that might be, I don't think are real fans, or they're trolling just to get, just to get views.
The most I'm getting on Megalon are either. I can't tell. I'm just assuming they're trolling because they come off as morons. But they're like saying the legendary movies are better looking than this, or they're saying, oh, that Godzilla looks like a PS2 graphic, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That's one of the best CGI Godzillas Toho has done to date.
It is the best CGI Godzilla Toho has done to date, period. And honestly, it rivals Legendary. It's right there with it.
It's very on par for sure.
Yeah, it's look, I love Legendary. I love what they've done with Godzilla. I love the look, right? From 2014, 2019, and even fucking 2021. I love the look. But GMO, Godzilla -1, that is a beauty of a beast.
I'm curious to see if the deals that Toho and Legendary have done, if they've had any help with America creating that CGI creature.
That's interesting. You know what? I would hope not, only because the director has pretty much been refining Godzilla since that cameo in his movie. And then Godzilla the Ride, and now what we've got here with Godzilla -1. So I would hope not, but at the same time, I mean, like, Legendary couldn't do anything anyway. Toho owns the rights to Godzilla. They're just lending Godzilla to Legendary. Toho could do whatever they want with him. Whatever.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, like, just if they're like, hey, can you help us? Like, he's like, okay, we have a Godzilla design, but can you help us with the technological creation of creating a really good CGI Godzilla for our film? Could you help us with that? And that's what I'm curious. Maybe not any like copyright or contractual agreements like that, but just saying, hey, can you help us so we can make a really good Godzilla film?
You know what drives me crazy with that too is, like, Japan is like the technological capital of the world, and it's been for quite some time, right? And the fact that we over here in the States have been seeing pretty good CG, give or take 20 years. And Japan is now catching up when they literally are, like, again, technologically advanced. Drives me up a wall, you know? It's fucking crazy. I'll put it like, it's funny. We're talking about this morning, scrolling through my newsfeed and stuff. I see something for the MSG Sphere, the Madison Square Garden Sphere, that's out here in Vegas. I see that thing every morning when I go to work, right? I go up the steps and I see it. They had this thing yesterday where it was an emoji face that was sleeping, and then it woke up as the sun rose, right? I'm sitting there, exactly, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, look at this technological behemoth right here. It reminded me of something that should have been in like Akira or something. I started getting like Neo Tokyo vibes. And then I started to think, Neo Tokyo vibes. Right! Japan should be doing this shit. It just drives me crazy. You know, it just drives me crazy. When you see something, and again, this is not a Shin Godzilla diss, but when you see that transformation in Shin Godzilla, the way he went from one form to the next, that really bad CG was like, what the hell
was like
is this?
Stuttering.
Yeah, it made zero sense to me. I'm like, at this point in time, Japan, y'all should have it together. I don't know if it's because of budgets for the movies, and that could well be, very well be. But Godzilla -1.
I think it's. I personally feel like it's a mix. I feel like it's budget for one, but also it's a cultural, like, what's the word? A cultural pride thing. You know, Japan has always been very, very. I feel like they've been the top for suitmation and tokatsu for a long time, and that's just what they've gone with, you know? And I feel like it just took them probably some time to really take that next step forward into their Hollywood-based films, and I feel like now is when we're going to be seeing, you know, the start of, you know, them doing more films with like really powerful CGI. Now, what's interesting is what's going to be interesting is after Godzilla -1, depending how well it does, is what this does for Toho. Because if this film just, we know it's going to probably just launch itself at the box office in Japan. I wonder what that does for Toho, because in a way it feels like Toho is like the Hollywood of Japan, if you will.
Oh yeah.
And so I would love to see this just launch Toho into another giant level, you know, and we see more CGI films and stuff, and that's what it kind of feels like. It just feels like, to me, they've just been kind of like stepped back a little bit. And now they're starting to actually be like, oh, we should really put the effort into our entertainment and media. Not that they haven't, but in this type of scale, like, I mean, that CGI for Godzilla and that, you know, in -1, that's not just like you said, that's on par with the legendary films. And that took probably a lot of money to put into that. So I feel like, yeah, I just feel like it's Japan now is starting to catch up. And the thing is if they catch up and start making it completely right, then we're going to be seeing films that are going to be just wiping the American films away.
It's funny you mention that. It's funny you say that because, look, and we're going to talk about this more in depth. I got a thing I want to say real quick. But the fact that you said swiping things, there is a very, very, very lot of legendary style imagery in Godzilla -1, especially in the promotional material. It's a lot, and I want to talk about that in a minute. But I want to real quick touch upon how Toho seems to change with the times. You know, you had the Showa era, and they were doing it their way. They were doing suitmation, where Kong was, you know, like, again, Godzilla's inspiration was King Kong. And King Kong was all stop motion. Toho went suitmation, and they were able to do with the miniatures, and then they were able to branch out and think about it like there's way more Godzilla movies than there are Kong movies. And from Godzilla, there was this whole boom of kaiju movies now. You got Gamera, you've got Gappa, you got Gulala, the X from outer space. You got all of these different freaking monsters. And it wasn't just relegated to Japan. It started to spread in Asia, in all the Asian countries. You got Yongari in Korea and Pulgasari, and there's just so much more.
And Reptilicus and Gorgo.
Gorgo, right? Gorgo over in England, and Reptilicus. I forgot about Reptilicus. Reptilicus is oh my god, that's an inspiration for Shin Godzilla, because Reptilicus, if I'm not mistaken, its blood was kind of toxic.
Yeah, it was acid.
Right? So that's kind of crazy. Now I'm thinking about that. All that, the gears are turning. But you see how Toho has gone through the motions over the generations with Godzilla. You had the Suitmation stuff, pretty much throughout its entirety. But in the 90s, when you saw what Spielberg was doing with Jurassic Park, they were like, yo, we tried that first. I mean, think about it. They were doing puppeteering shit with the faces long before Stan Winston and crew created, Rexian and crew for Jurassic Park. And Toho was doing that. I mean, Cybot Godzilla predates Jurassic Park by, 8, 9 years? 7, 8 years? It's crazy when you think about
Jurassic Park was in
93. 9 years.
Yeah.
9 years. 9 years, because Return of Godzilla came out in 84 in Japan. But it's crazy when you think about that. They were doing that stuff. But then Jurassic Park came out, and everything looked incredible, right? All of the animatronics looked incredible. And then what did we get? That was 93. In 93, we got Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2. And all of a sudden, you see the animatronics in Godzilla's face all of a sudden ramp up. Takes on this brand new flavor. And don't get me wrong, I loved Godzilla's face in Biollante. I love Godzilla's face in King Ghidorah. I love Godzilla's face in Mothra. But in 93, after Jurassic Park came out, you saw a difference in the animatronics, in the facial expressions of Godzilla. They added more. And we just see this trend continue with Toho. Legendary comes out. They do their thing. We got Shin Godzilla. I'm going to predate that. 98 comes out, right? It's all CG. And then you see a bunch of different things. Toho starts to ape it. You can compare Godzilla 98 and Godzilla 2000 and look at different things. And it's like Toho saying, yeah, that's cool. We can do it better. Or we can give the fans more bang for their buck because they want this.
Or what about the comparison of King Kong, the 80s Kong, and then them coming out with Godzilla 84, and they do their own live giant 84 Godzilla.
Right. No, that's true. That's absolutely true. The 76 Kong was literally 40 feet tall. And I know that because I've got this Time Life King Kong magazine that I bought a couple of weeks ago, and I read through this shit front to back. This is a very good pickup. If you find this in your local supermarket, what is this? Wow, it's $14.99. I paid $15 for this. Holy shit! No wonder why my freaking check was ripped apart. It's well worth it. I have the Godzilla one somewhere floating around, but I saw that on the newsstand when I went into the supermarket, and I was like, oh shit, yeah, I'm gonna pick that up. But that was really good, and I read that the Kong prop that they used was 40 feet tall. That's crazy. And the Cybot Godzilla, I think, clocked in around 25 to 30.
That's still insane.
It is.
And now you got a Godzilla hotel with a life-size head.
Yes. But it's just like crazy to see that Toho has followed these trends that they started and then let America go and do their thing, and then they came right behind it and aped it pretty much,
It's just because it has excelled fast in the United States.
That's true. That's a good point. That's a great point. But I love seeing it. I do. I love seeing it, and I don't knock it at all because at the end of the day, it is Toho's property. They own Godzilla. So, yeah, if you're going to make the most fantastic looking Godzilla to date, Toho needs to do it. And in my personal opinion, Godzilla -1 right now is it. It is it. And I fucking love it. I love it.
Especially if we now know the runtime is not a hoax, because that's from the website for purchasing tickets. A 2-hour and 5-minute Godzilla film. Is that like the longest Toho Godzilla film?
I believe it is, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, I looked up Shin Godzilla's runtime. Oh, hello? We still there?
Yeah.
All right, good. I'm sorry. My phone flipped out my hand. I looked up Shin Godzilla's runtime, and it was only 120 minutes.
This is 125.
So this goes, so this is 2 hours and 5 minutes. And
that's kind of funny to me.
why? Because it's only like 5 minutes extra. I would try to find. You would have to go to like the better Godzilla movies, right? Like GMK. I highly.
How long was Final Wars?
That's a good question. Let's find out.
Final Wars was a long one, but
Final Wars was long. Let's check. Let's check. Godzilla Final Wars. Here we go. We're gonna find out right now, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna find out right now. But it's crazy. 2 hours and 5 minutes is a solid runtime.
That's a Marvel movie.
Yeah. No. Oh. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Uh-oh.
Final Wars is 125 minutes, same amount of runtime.
Oh, damn. Okay. The other one I was going to think was Space Godzilla, because Space Godzilla was a little long, but I don't think it was 2 hours. It felt like it was.
It might be 2 hours. It feels like it. It's just, it drags. That's why it's
that long segue.
Yeah. You know what? Hold up. I gotta check Destroyer now, because honestly, if there was ever a movie to be
2 hours, it would be Destroyer.
It would be Destroyer, right? Right. So let's do that, ladies and gentlemen. This is real time right now, so just bear with us. Screw that. This is why it's fun. No, Godzilla versus Destroyer clocks in at 1 hour and 43 minutes.
Holy smokes! So that's the longest one then.
No.
Oh no! Okay, never mind. You said 1 hour 43. I thought you meant
what?
minutes.
Yeah, what? For yeah.
I was like, wait a minute. Okay.
Holy crap!
Say.
Yeah, no, 1 hour and 43 minutes. So shit, the Millennium series definitely went over that. Like they were definitely pushing 2 hours. Definitely 1 hour 50 minutes, 2 hours tops. But like I said, Shin Godzilla was literally 2 hours. Final Wars, 2 hours and 5 minutes. I love that movie. That's not what we're here to talk about, though. But I love Final Wars. I love it.
I have Final Wars on the brain. That's why I put in that message in our chat.
No, but it makes sense, and I'm glad you did, because now we know. And they say knowing is half the battle. But let's talk. We're gonna talk Godzilla. We are gonna talk Godzilla. We are. But you know what? We got
to talk about the other one, man.
We got to talk Gamera. We do. Now, unfortunately, Brother Chase wasn't able to join us. He had prior engagements when we did our Gamera Rebirth review. But he was the first one out of the group to watch Gamera Rebirth.
Dude, I binge watched that whole thing. Oh my god.
Fucking midnight. I'm like, I gotta go to bed, bro. What are you doing? I wound up taking that day off anyway. But still, I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? But we've talked about it. Not me and you, but me, Gams, JR. We've spoke about it. Rob, what is your take though?
Dude, okay. I've always loved Gamera. Always. Yeah, I remember the first time I saw Gamera, my dad calls me into the living room. He's like, Chase, watch this. And I see a giant turtle shoot a fireball at a red bird. And I'm like, what is this? Is this like another Godzilla movie? And he's like, no, this is Gamera. And I remember that memory so clear because I'm like, dude, this is so cool. And I remember that roar because that roar, I'm like, wait, I've heard that roar. And I thought and the reason why was because before my dad called me into the living room, I heard that roar go on. And I thought my dad was watching Godzilla versus King Ghidorah. Because I mean, that was only movies I watched as a kid. Once Land Before Time was done, it was Godzilla. My dad got tired of the cartoons, and he's like, "Here, watch these." And that was pretty much it. Godzilla and all that. And so I was curious, and he calls me in. He's like, "Hey, watch this." I'm like, "Oh, I'll watch it." And I'm like, "Wait a minute, why is that roar not Godzilla?" And from there, I was just so totally invested in Gamera. I thought it was so cool. I ended up getting Gamera 2 on DVD, and my dad couldn't find Guardian of the Universe because that was still back when it was kind of hard to get Japanese films.
Yeah.
And they weren't as advanced as it was, now with the dubs and the movies coming over and stuff. So I got into the Heisei Gamera kind of when I was about 5. Or maybe 6, but
wow, I'm old.
I have always loved Gamera, and I'm like, of course, Gamera was not as on par with Godzilla as Godzilla was, but I always loved Gamera. I had a soft spot for Gamera because I thought he was cool, and I liked the dynamic. I just, it was another giant monster. What's not to love? And when I watched this animated series, I had loads of fun. I thought this was so fun. The kaiju fights were fun, and I mean, yeah, the kids, were the kids, and, I was just, I can easily sit back and tone that out, whatever drama with the kids is or whatever silliness with the kids is there. But I thoroughly actually ended up enjoying following these group of kids. I mean, I didn't love them, but I thought they were interesting enough to where I could be like, all right, I can see why, Gamera, make it keep worth watching. Gamera can protect Boko. I just had a lot of fun, man. I loved just the fights, the kaiju fights with Gamera and other monsters. Even though they were short, they were still fun to watch. And I mean, I loved the second episode. And I can't remember the monster he fights in the second episode. The name of him, the
Jiger.
Rat with the is it Jiger?
Jiger, yeah.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with that episode. I thought that was cool. And watching the military, fire on Gamera and stuff. I mean, that's just, I don't know, it just tickles my soft spot for the old school Tokatsu type films, and I just had a lot of fun with it. I think the animated series was a lot of fun. I don't have any issues with it. I really, really hope there's another season because I would love to see more Gamera. I really do.
Yeah, they kind of set it up if you watched all the way through. There's an end credits.
End credits, yeah.
There's an end credits. I've said this on the previous podcast. I did enjoy it. There were things that I was kind of like, and maybe it was the kids in the beginning, but they it grew on me. It really, really did. I think my biggest beef has. I listen to banging and clanging upstairs. I think my wife just fell down the stairs, but it's all right. She ain't screaming yet. We're good. I think my biggest beef was the end of the show. They had the 5 kaiju, and then there was a 6th one, which was a mutated version of Gauss.
And they don't really. I know where you're going with that. I'll let you continue because I have something to say.
Yeah, and I was just kind of mad at that because I'm like, we already did Gauss. Y'all did it in the first episode. You shouldn't have shot your load with Gauss because Gauss has been Gamera's King Ghidorah, pretty much. As far as the #1 arch nemesis, they always go back to a Gauss. So I was mad at that because I'm like, wait a minute. the best. Y'all doing Showa Gamera creatures, and you don't have Baragon? That's the best fucking Showa movie. So I was hoping to God that maybe Baragon shows up episode 6. I thought Virus was going to be a 2-parter, but it wasn't. One and done, just like all the other ones. And I was like, all right.
It should have been a 2-parter.
It really felt like it should. You're absolutely right. So that was like my biggest beef. I was like, and don't get me wrong, I liked Shin Gauss because that's what it was. It was a Shin Gauss. But at the same time, I was just like, y'all could have done Baragon. If you were doing all the Showa monsters, y'all could have done Baragon. I don't understand why. And then I saw like a day or two. No, so that came out on Thursday, right? That came out on a Thursday. That weekend, I saw an artist rendition for a fucking Baragon for the show. And I was like, oh my God, that's gorgeous. And it fits. It fit the aesthetic of how they revamped all of the other Showa Kaiju. And I was like, oh my God, why? Why? It bothered me.
It was a strange thing for me, too, just because they also don't even explain how it became a mutant Gaius. It just comes out of nowhere. Like, okay, it was kept in captivity, but, from what, and from where, how did it get 3 eyeballs?
Right.
Why is it this way? And I didn't like the ending fight. I thought that was weird. It was kind of like, so Gaius one-shots Gamera with that weird little tongue thing, and then Gamera's just gone. That was kind of weird to me. Like if that was Godzilla, that wouldn't have happened. Godzilla would have grabbed the tail and flung it around like a lasso and slammed him into the ground.
Yeah. It got real hentai at the end there, and I was like, oh, wait.
Yeah.
I can't, if I had little kids, I was like, y'all can't watch this. Go in the room. Go play somewhere else.
Yeah.
It was weird.
We're getting into Revenge of Iris territory.
Right. But actually very vulgar. It was disgusting.
Yeah.
I was like, ugh.
With that, I had issues with that last that last battle. I thought the last episode was good but that battle was just really just shoehorned and not very done well, executed well. I mean, of course, at the end of the day, it happens, and Gamera does the greater good of sacrificing himself. But I just feel like they could have done something better. I mean, Gamera 2 is my favorite out of the Heisei series. Same. And I was just thinking, where's Legion? Legion would be a cool one to see too. And the thing is, I didn't watch the Showa Gameras, so I don't know all of the monsters that are in, the Showa films. And I'm just like, I'm sure there's more monsters they could pull to put in this. And I mean, I love Gaius, I love Gaius, but I just felt like that last one was kind of I find it hard to believe they didn't know what to do. I feel like they did that just because maybe if for the hopes of a second season, they can expand that roster more. But then again, Gamera also doesn't have that many enemies as well. So it's what are you going to do? Only 2 more enemies in the season 2? What are you going to do? I mean, I guess in that route, they just create their own kaiju, which would be cool.
They could do that.
They could totally do that, but I don't know. I just felt with that, I agree. The ending battle to me was very kind of dropped the ball a little bit. And then, yeah, I just felt like for a final battle for the season, I felt like that fight should have been a lot more. I don't know. It just felt like Gamera gave up. What I mean, and also I was kind of disappointed because, I'm used to when Gamera dies or gets hurt, he comes back in a new fledged body. And when they revive him, he's still, he's pretty much still dead. He has no arm and all of that. So it's like it's like I was kind of like waiting for like all the children to put in their hopes and prayers, and he comes back, and he didn't. So I was kind of like, well, that's messed up.
He's gonna.
Where's Steven Seagal's daughter?
You're the worst, bro. You're the worst. You was waiting for the mana beam from the chest.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, honestly, I can't even be mad at you for that because they did fire Beast Arm.
Yeah.
They did fire Beast Arm without him even losing an arm yet. They did the fire Beast Arm from Gamera 3, and I was like, oh shit, that's dope.
Yeah, that was another thing too. Like Gamera, where's Gamera using all the mana from the Earth? They like didn't touch on that, and I'm just like, wait, Gamera's supposed to have this trump card ability, and we're not seeing it, and it kind of made me like, well, this Gamera's also supposed to be really old too. Like you think he would just pull that out of the bag, you know? He knows what he's doing, it seems, you know. And so I just was kind of like, why are they holding back, you know? But still, I still had fun with it.
No,
I still had fun.
It was good. I would say maybe because again it says it's Gamera Rebirth. You know, the Heisei Gamera has absolutely nothing to do with the original Gamera, unlike Godzilla, how it kind of continued from, you know, 54 and then through the whole Heisei era. And then in the Millennium Sagas, it was like 54, 54, 54. And which one wasn't 54? GMK or Final Wars? One of the two. But you know what I mean, right? So, like, this to me was like a brand new origin story for Gamera. It had nothing to do with anything prior, but they were going to take fair from it, you know? But I will say, you know, season 2, we don't do Gauss again. you did them, but you got
Then they do Mecha Gaios.
No, please don't do that either. But you got Baragon out there, right? You got Legion, Legion. I like saying Legion because that's the way they say it in Japanese, and that's the way I saw it. So it's Legion all the time. You got Iris, but then you've got, if you want to go there, you've got the unmade Gamera film, Gamera versus Garasharp, which is like a snake thing, hybrid creature. You could totally bring that in.
I guess you could also bring in the monster from Gamera Reborn. Was that what it is? Gamera Reborn, that 2000.
Oh, the Brave, right. I think it was Jiris. I think it was Jiris, right. I forgot about that one, Jiris, right. So that would be your 5 for season 2.
Yeah, and the thing is, and also that little Gamera at the end, spoilers, looked a lot like the Gamera from Gamera the Brave.
Yeah. Yeah,
and I'm like, I'm not sure how people are gonna respond to that one.
So, like, outside of Gamera, right? Because that's obviously why we're watching this show, right? It's Gamera. Oh shit, the fucking Gamera show, animated, and it works because again, because it's animated, it makes the show feel better. I'm gonna say it because you weren't there, bro. When Gamera would pop up and start fighting the kaijus, why was the Pacific Rim music playing?
Why was Pacific Rim mentioned several fucking times too?
Bro, I thought the end of this season, I thought the 6th episode was going to be them going to merge with Pacific Rim. And then I'm like, wait a minute, that's a legendary thing. Gamera just merged with Godzilla in the fucking mobile game. It's happening. It's fucking, that's what I was thinking. It didn't happen, obviously, but oh my god, could you imagine? But the Pacific Rim was mentioned, and granted, that's a real thing. It's not like a made-up movie thing. The Pacific Rim is real. But the music was legit Pacific Rim music.
Yeah, I was like, you know, it's funny when I started to catch on when like the theme of Gamera coming on, I was like, is this the music from that Applebee's commercial I saw the other night?
Oh.
Then I'm like, oh no, that's Pacific Rim. I can't promote my baby back ribs commercial.
Oh my God, you're the worst.
That's literally what I thought, and then I'm like, oh yeah, it's Pacific. But yeah, it was interesting hearing that, metal riff being played. I'm like, that's cool. It was cool, but I'm like, kind of interesting choice.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I was like, holy shit, this is plagiarism at its finest right now. But I dug it. And I really did wish, because here's the thing. Netflix, with the exception of the last two, the second and third Godzilla trilogy movies.
The Planet of the Monsters trilogy.
Yeah. The first one I really did like. I really did like that movie. I liked the idea of Godzilla versus the future. I loved it. But after that, it was like, yeah, this is whack. But then they did Pacific Rim the Black. And I love Pacific Rim the Black. Then they did Ultraman. And I loved Ultraman. Now they're doing Gamera. And I loved Gamera. I did. I have my beefs. But overall, I'm like, yeah, I want to see more of that. I give Netflix all the props in the world for shit like that. Because they got Singular Point too. And I love Singular Point. I do. Especially that one episode. It's the best episode ever. And Kong Skull Island, or whatever the hell it's called.
Yeah. We didn't talk about that one, did we?
And did we? No, I don't think we did. But
I don't think we did.
No, we did. Because I don't know. I don't remember. We might have.
I mean, I do remember mentioning a topic where we talked about the flying whale. So maybe we did.
Yeah, we did. But again, like, Netflix is quick to pick up these kaiju oh my God, franchises.
Yeah.
And I give them all the respect in the world for that, because they're literally bringing back to life, and I'm not for everything, but for certain things. But they're giving me more content that 20 years ago we didn't have this. We only had the movies, and for us, we had to go and search for them. They weren't just popping up on HBO. You know what I mean? Right. So it's a beautiful thing now that we have this available right at our fingertips. We can go on Netflix and literally have every single monster we need to have, every single monster that matters at our fingertips on Netflix. Godzilla, Kong, Gamera, Pacific Rim. It's all there. It is all there. And in that regard, Netflix wins, man. Netflix wins. But you know what else?
Yeah, that's honestly what's keeping me with my Netflix subscription.
And I ain't mad at you. I got to keep Netflix, because there are things every now and then that pop up that I'm like, woo, what's this? And it has nothing to do with any kaiju, right? But in regards to that, you know what else is like, oh my God, Godzilla?
Monarch!
Oh my God! Bro! Are you kidding me or what? What the fuck? It's fantastic, right?
What's that?
It's fantastic.
It's definitely like the resurgence of the kaiju movies and kaiju content is in full force right now.
I'm gonna say straight up, look, I'm not trying to say one is posturing or positioning over the other, but we know that the -1 trailer came out, and then, not even a week later, within 4 days, matter of fact, it was that Thursday when Gamera came out, the first Thursday of September.
Right.
Or the last Thursday of August, whatever it was.
The 17th.
Was it?
No, never mind.
But you know what I'm saying, like that.
Right.
That Thursday after the freaking Godzilla -1 trailer came out, Gamera came out. And as we were doing that review, the news broke that Monarch was dropping tomorrow. And we were like, what?
Yeah.
What? And you broke that news. You broke that news. I thought, like, and that was the thing. Like, that was why I was so, like, upset. It was like, you weren't able to join us for our Gamera review, but you were still fucking doing the damn work. You were still doing the damn work. That's why you're the right hand when it comes to Godzilla on the G Show. That's not something I just take lightly. That is a legitimate title. You were still doing the work. You weren't able to join us. You had prior engagements. You were doing other things. Yet, you break the news to us while we are fucking podcasting. Yo, this trailer's dropping tomorrow. Oh, what did you think?
I just felt like it confirmed my theory of Legendary and Toho always pushing something out with each other, because even with the Singular Point stuff, we were seeing stuff for Legendary's, I think it was for Godzilla versus Kong. I remember anytime there was a Legendary thing or a Toho thing, we would see something from the other, either a week apart or like 2 weeks apart. And I've noticed that be a trend, and it's like, I don't necessarily see it as like a competition thing, but it's kind of hard not to feel like it is. But especially with them being partners, and to me, it's like, is this just kind of like a formula they're doing? Because I feel like that's what the route I want to go, is because they know there is two major fandoms here within the same creature, the Toho films and the Hollywood films. And I feel like maybe Legendary and Toho are kind of like talking like, well, let's just make like, okay, dramatization of this. We're not going to be in a competition with it, but how about we give them the monster overload, and you drop a trailer, we'll drop a trailer. You drop a trailer, we'll drop a trailer. And that's what it feels like. You get double of both worlds to get super excited for both IPs, and I like that idea. But there are times though where it feels like it's like a contest, and I think it's funny, but like, I just sit back and enjoy it like eating a prime rib steak, man. Like, just give me more.
No, dude, I'm with you, bro. I'm with you. I'm like, what are we doing here? What is going on? But at the same time, I'm like, what is going on? The greatest thing ever? We're getting so much content from every place, and I love that, right? Like, it just feels good to be in a position, to be in a place where we're like, oh my God, something that we used to kind of not, I'm going to talk on my own, you younging. I'm going to talk about myself, you know what I'm saying, growing up in the 80s. We don't talk about Godzilla, bro. You watch it on TV and you keep mum. You go outside and you do your own thing, right? Like, the geek shit wasn't there. But in today's day and age, it is accepted. And it is like, yo, you're going to get the Toho Godzilla, you're going to get the Legendary Godzilla, and you're going to get them both in the same fucking year, nay, month. You're going to get them both in the same fucking month. And that is... I never, ever, ever would have guessed that Godzilla would have been in that bingo card category. You know what I'm saying? Star Wars, yes. Marvel, yes. Maybe a Harry Potter, maybe. But Godzilla? Like this? Two? Yeah, no, please, keep giving it to me. Keep giving it to me.
The only thing is, I just hope that these films and shows do great to keep that going, because then it feels like if they don't, then this was all for nothing, except just a love letter to us fans, which is still cool. But for it to continue and be successful enough to continue and be like, okay, yes, there's an awakening for people that want this stuff. I hope that's the case.
Yeah, you know what? And I think it is, honestly. And it's crazy. It's crazy, too, because I was, like, thinking about this. Why Apple? Why Apple TV? Why? Then it makes all the sense in the world. It dawns on me, and not only did it dawn on me, I seen something. Apple's got the fucking money. Apple's got the money to make this Monarch trailer look like it's supposed to be in the movie theaters.
And that's exactly what we saw. I was gonna say the same thing. Was that CGI for that show? That's not a show CGI. This is like, okay, we're gonna use our budget for the films and make the show. And like that's a lot of money for a show to have a CGI monsters like that. And also the American actors. I mean, Kurt Russell and his son, that's not going to be a cheap. I mean, of course, Kurt Russell's not around as much as he was back in the day, but that's still a very well-known, popular actor who's been in a lot of things that probably has somewhat of a price tag when you want him in your movies.
Yeah. And I mean, like, and even that, it's like, it still won't be enough. It won't even come close to what they're putting into the special effects budgets. And again, you could totally, I mean, the trailer is 2014. The trailer is 2014. That's the Godzilla we're seeing. You can totally just rip the movie off, but they don't do that. They show different angles from shots, from scenes of the movie. And that in its own is like, okay, my thing though is this. That's probably the only Godzilla we're going to see until like probably the last episode. There's no doubt in my mind that's not the intro to the beginning. That's not the intro to the show. The first episode.
If the words from the director are true, we're supposed to be seeing Godzilla a bit, but we'll see. That's what he claims, but we'll see.
Oh, I would hope so. And honestly, I don't know if this is true. I would love if they brought back Gareth Edwards to direct an episode.
Maybe season 2, but all the directors have been finalized already.
Okay.
But they did say that the first episode, I think it's going to be like the first 3 episodes will be out on the 17th of November, and then the rest come later or something. Or it's not you can't binge the full show, but they did actually announce that they're going to stream the first episode at this film festival in October.
Comic-Con, New York Comic-Con, yep. But they're only going to show it there, which sucks because we're going to get fucking spoilers, and we got a whole month before we get to see the show. If I'm not mistaken, it's the first 2 episodes on November 17th.
Yeah.
Which I'm not mad at. I'm mad. Do you know the episode count by any chance?
It's supposed to be like 10.
Okay.
8 or 10. I think it's 10.
Look, I gotta be honest with you. Right now, I am living in a Renaissance age because Disney Plus has given me the best Star Wars shit since Return of the fucking Jedi, right? With the Ahsoka show. And I'm loving it. And while I do love it, and it's really good, the Godzilla stuff is, to me, in the trailers alone, hitting more beats that I want in my life right now. Right? And it's hard to say, but the fact of the matter is, I got Star Wars and I got Godzilla all in the same year, within the same month, giving me shit that I never thought was going to happen. Seriously. 2005. The Holy Trinity in my book. I've done it. Batman Begins. Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith. A fucking Comic-Con convention, and then nightcapped with Godzilla Final Wars was the greatest day in my life. Now, I am living in a world where I have at my fingertips streaming services that are doing or giving me that same feeling that I had that day right now. And it's crazy with brand new shit. And that drives me nuts in a very happy way.
I feel the same way because of Gamera. I'm like, gosh, I'm getting Gamera, Godzilla, and also because I play the Godzilla mobile game a lot, and he's fun to play with. Gamera's fun to use. But it has me thinking too, like, what other conversations did Toho and Katakawa have behind closed doors? Because I mean, like, I don't see them being like, hey, because obviously we know our fans want Gamera and Godzilla to shake hands at some point. Let's just have them in a video game first. But what do you want to do later on? You know, hey, let's like bring our sons to a play date and see what happens. You know, I'm very curious to what I have to say is I think for me I'm jumping ahead because I'm just so excited. But I finally feel like, okay, I think Toho finally gets it. I think Toho finally gets what we want and what's going on. And I feel like if anything's more possible now, it's Gamera and Godzilla joining forces in some capacity on the big screen in the future now than it was. I feel like in the very near future, within, okay, let's say the next 10 years, we'll see Godzilla and Gamera finally going against or teaming up with each other in a movie. I just feel like that possibility is so strong now because Toho knows it, and Katakawa's trying to get Gamera back. With their research, I mean, they're seeing all the Godzilla popularity skyrocket. Obviously, it brought them the confidence to see, okay, let's see what happens with Gamera, because they know, too, Gamera has its fan base as well. Not as big as Godzilla, but the thing is, Gamera has always been kind of like the thorn in the Godzilla side when it comes to their quality of stuff. Yeah. And I'm just so... I think it's very possible that Godzilla and Gamera are going to make appearances with each other in some capacity soon, very, very shortly. And I'm excited to see that finally happen.
Within this decade, my brother, within this decade.
Yes. And I was thinking, America has Godzilla versus Kong, and then Japan gets Gamera versus Godzilla.
So here's the deal, and you nailed it. You nailed it. Toho knows, they realize, and they have realized since Marvel did what Marvel did. You got to remember, back in the day, it was just superhero movie. They could all be in the same, a comic book world, Marvel movies, DC movies. But, Christopher Reeve never interacted with Michael Keaton. Superman, Batman, back in the day, right? Marvel Studios went and they took a chance to say, you know what, we're gonna start bridging this gap. And honest to God, Toho should know they did this. Second, not first, but second. Marvel was like, you know what? The Universal Monsters did it. The Kaiju did it. Make no mistake about it. There's no way in my mind that Kevin Feige wasn't thinking about how did these universes cross? How did these movies come together? There's only two, at that time, there's only two examples. The Universal Monsters and Toho, right? With Destroyer Monsters. So then Marvel does their cinematic universe. And they bring together everything. And it works. Now Legendary is rocking and rolling, right? 2014, we get Godzilla. 2017, we get Kong Skull Island. Godzilla's in the movie at the very fucking end. It's crazy. Then 2019, we get King of the Monsters. Kong's in the movie. It's what I love is stock footage that makes all the fucking sense in the world, right? Stock footage. Classic Toho staple. Then we get Godzilla vs. Kong. Toho sees that this thing works. These crossovers work. Toho had, I think in the early 80s, I don't know, late 70s, maybe mid 80s, I remember. But Toho had a stage show where Godzilla and Gamera were together on stage. They did it. It's there. It's there. You just got to go to YouTube and look it up. It's there. It happened. But now, and honestly, that mobile game is the first step. I would go as far as saying Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah is the first step, with the Gamera Raw coming out of Godzillasaurus. I'm just saying, when I saw that for the first time, I was like, wait a minute. That ain't right! But the fact of the matter is, it is there. And honestly, if Toho wants to do something crazy, Toho could absolutely own the rights to Gamera. Let's not fucking jerk each other off here. Toho could absolutely buy the rights to Gamera from Katakawa. They could. But I don't know how Japanese business is run. I don't think it's as cutthroat as it is over here. There's more respect over there. So it might be a joint venture. But at this point in time, and again, that Gamera Rebirth show, that was Pacific Rim music. It was Pacific Rim music. You cannot change my mind.
If they did that because Guillermo del Toro said that he loved Gamera. And maybe they were doing that for him.
I kept thinking about they were going to go to Pacific Rim and they was going to meet up with Pacific Rim the Black. And season 3 of Pacific Rim the Black was going to be with Gamera. And I was like, yes, please, all that. And that's a legendary show. Bring Godzilla in. Bring legendary Godzilla in. Let's go. And yo, if that's what it comes to, if it's legendary having to do that, I've got no problem with it. But I think all of us, as far as, kaiju fans, we want to see Toho do it first, right?
Yeah.
If you got it.
That's an interesting point you bring up, too, because we initially saw Gamera in the concept art for King of the Monsters.
Right. Absolutely. There is definitely a turtle there. There's definitely a giant turtle there.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I think that I just think that would be crazy. Toho would be in like, but the thing is, that does seem like it's very possible, though. Like, let's say, okay, maybe Gamera doesn't take off in the capacity of, relaunching Gamera films. And Toho comes along and says, look, we like Gamera. Let's buy Gamera from you. Keep him alive. I can see that happening, but it's also kind of like a sad thing in a way to also think, because it's like, I don't know. I feel bittersweet about it, but I also love that idea at the same time.
I don't think...
But it's definitely possible.
Oh, yeah, it is. I don't think Toho would disrespect Gamera. See, like, it's again, it's different. Like, culturally...
I don't think so either.
Culturally is different. Like, over here, the only thing I could compare this to is when the WWE bought WCW. And that was crazy. I was like, oh my God, these two wrestling companies are merging now. And Vince McMahon, who owned now both companies, was like, all right, come on over, y'all. Yep, I own you. Come on over. And he fucking jobbed them out. He made them lose all the matches. It wasn't fair. It was terrible. Because it was basically like, my balls are bigger than yours. I don't see that happening in Japan. I see it as being a very respectable business agreement. We will take absolute care of this character because this character has made it to this point in time. So there's definite respect and honor there. If there wasn't, Gamera would have fell off in the Showa era. But no, the Gamera trilogy rivals, if not is better than the Heisei Godzilla movies.
Well, you want to know something? When I was watching Gamera Rebirth, I was like, man, the animations for these monster fights are a lot better than what we saw in the animated Godzilla films. And I was like, damn it, once again, Katakawa coming in and being like, look, Toho, this is how you do it.
This is how you do it. You want it? We got it on sale. That's the thing. That's the crazy thing. Like, so it's just, it's crazy if you think about it. Within this decade, within the 2020s, we can actually see legit Godzilla and Gamera and maybe even Kong on the screen at the same time. Live action. I'd be done. I'd be done. I would say I have seen it all now. I am going to lay down. Don't wake me up until I'm 100. Don't wake me up until I'm 100. I'm gonna go lay down. It's insane, and I love that idea.
Yeah, I think now is definitely the if these movies and shows do well. Okay, I don't feel like Godzilla -1 isn't going to do well. I think that film is taken in such a serious way now, and it has made its presence known, and there are a lot of people very interested in this film. I think it's going to be just fine, if not even better. So I'm feeling like the future for that stuff, at least for Toho, is going to be okay. It's the legendary stuff that makes me more okay. You know, we should not have gotten this stuff because of the King of the Monsters fiasco.
Right.
So we'll see, you know, was Godzilla and Kong really that impactful as it was, which I hope, or did we just get lucky? So we'll see. But like, I don't know. I just feel like I feel like the times have changed now because the oversaturation with the Marvel stuff. Now people are looking for other things, and this is kind of like it's. Even though it's been around for a while, it's starting to feel more. It feels like it's at its freshest. You know?
Yes.
And I feel like this is going to be the start of this because I mean. Even the Jurassic World films, I mean, I didn't like Dominion, like, at all. I mean, I liked it to see the old cast members, but the thing is, that movie made almost $1 billion at the box office. And I'm like, okay, I thought Jurassic World would have been done after Fallen Kingdom. Yeah. I didn't think Dominion was going to do that. Numbers. I mean, I thought, okay, maybe because of the star cast it would, but it seems like dinosaurs are still in, especially because now you have all these documentaries. Now Steven Spielberg is doing a documentary for Netflix about dinosaurs, you know, and so dinosaurs are the Meg came back and saved itself from box office failure. Are you fucking kidding me? Giant monsters and kaiju and dinosaurs are like in this resurgence. I mean, the Meg 2, The Trench, saved himself. Jason Statham killing a shark with a helicopter propeller. Saved itself from financial disaster to become almost a $500 million film.
Hey, but you gotta remember. $400 million of that came from China. So, and maybe more, because American audiences weren't buying it. I gotta throw that out there. I gotta be honest.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
It was terrible. I think it would have been more here, right? I think not to say it would have broke even in China. China had their number one action star in this movie. So everybody was going to see it, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So that was the big draw. But I think it would have done better here had there been more Meg in the Meg 2, for crying out loud.
That was kind of weird. And also there's like a shark that never showed up too. Domestically, it made $81 million. Yeah. Internationally, $305. Worldwide, $386.
So it crushed. And look, it's definitely getting a third movie. It's definitely getting a third one.
Yeah, that's possible for sure.
Oh, it's happening. And and again, it's a success story. It is. So, you know what? Let me ask you a question. We talked about it early on in this podcast, and we got to talk about it now. The comparisons between the trailers for Godzilla -1 and the promo materials and Legendary. It's obvious. It's absolutely obvious. I mean, you can see it. There are shots where they are legitimately ripped from Legendary movies. And again, this is nothing new from Toho. They did it in 2000 or 1999 with Godzilla Millennium. they were kind of ripping off certain shots from Godzilla 98, but with a legit looking Godzilla. What do you think about all this? Is this just hyperbole, or you see it and this is legit? And why is Toho doing it?
Dude, I think it's just because how we've talked is Toho's wanting. It's tough because I'm on the board that -1 is not going to be the universe film, but yet again, it's being set up in a way to where it mirrors the MonsterVerse in a way to where it feels like this is going to be their launch point. And I mean, there's just, I mean, okay. I definitely can see it going into two ways of -1 is going to have these Easter eggs of the MonsterVerse in it because Toho loves that idea. I mean, just their poster alone is like the concept poster of the 2014 image. He's in the rubble.
Yep.
And just because, and everything else we've seen, it's like there's so many MonsterVerse nods where Godzilla's under the boat, and the images of them being in the boardroom and talking about the creature, and it's done in such a style that resembles Monarch.
Yep.
I just think, like, if it's not a universe film, they're definitely like paying nod to like, hey, Legendary, we owe you one, or we're like, hey, we see you. But but that's also a weird thing because it's like, then why not? Because Toho has stated many times like we would like to make our own universe. So, for one, I'm also thinking, well, why wouldn't this be? But then again, it's like, okay, is Toho waiting to see what happens after the next? I don't know. I don't want to go into that route yet because that's a topic for maybe a later discussion. But to me, it's just Toho. I think for one, regardless how you feel about the MonsterVerse films and how our fandom does feel about the MonsterVerse, Toho is absolutely 100% grateful and big fans of what America has done with Godzilla. Like they might be bigger fans than us. That's how it feels. And that's how it has been praised. And that's what the CEO of Toho has talked about, as all of us at Toho are very, very happy with what they've done with Godzilla. They basically America, in a way, has saved Godzilla. Sounds funny to hear, but that's the truth. And now we're in this spot where Toho is coming up with so many ideas and piggyback points from what Hollywood has done. It's just, to me, I can see it being like, okay, this film is just going to have Easter eggs, or this film is going to end with this universe becoming a thing. That's how I see it. It's not going to be during, it's going to be at the end. And that's how I feel it might happen. But I'm also, I don't know, I'm curious to what happens. But to me, it's kind of surreal. But I don't know. It's hard to say what's going on with Toho right now, other than them just being really thankful and excited for the MonsterVerse. But the thing is, to the average person that knows nothing but does know about the MonsterVerse films, maybe they could say like, oh, this film is like very, very subtly mirroring Legendary's work. And that's I feel like that's intentional. Yeah. But yet again, I don't know. So I don't know what Toho's trying to pull, but I'm very eager to find out. That's for sure.
No, I totally agree with you. And I love the idea. I honestly believe Toho loves everything that Legendary has done. And it's crazy to say that because before Kong Skull Island, they gave us Shin Godzilla. And it was kind of like, no, that's not how Godzilla is. This is. And it wasn't. We didn't like it. There's a bunch of detractors. And I would say, no. Toho, you might have fumbled the ball on that one. Legendary's got it. They're doing the right thing here. What I felt was with Shin Godzilla was Toho was like, let's get this guy right now because you know what? People love him. Let's get him. Let's make it hot. Because the last Toho Godzilla movie, they did the same exact thing when they hired Ryuhei Kitamura for Final Wars. He's hot. Let's get him. Let's go. And people hated that movie. I love it. Final Wars is one of my favorites. But I understand why people hated it when it was supposed to be the 50th anniversary of Godzilla. Now, that's what it seems like Anno did with Shin Godzilla. Dead all of that because Godzilla -1 is the legit rebirth of Godzilla. This is it. I like the idea of Toho saying they love what Legendary has done. I love the fact that it doesn't seem malicious this time. And I'm not saying that Godzilla 2000 was malicious when they brought Godzilla back because they looked at 98 and said, yo, what?
And that was, in a way, let's put it in terms of aliens. That was a bug hunt for Toho. they were out to eradicate what 98 did. Which is such a shame. I mean, I get it, but I love 98 so much. That film was... I love that film. I got nothing bad to say about 98 other than just, that's not Godzilla.
It's a fun film. It's just not Godzilla. And I say that to everybody. It's a fun film. It's just not Godzilla. This is why I like Godzilla.
And see, that's also where the difference is with Shin Godzilla. I know we're not talking about Shin Godzilla, but that's the thing with me is like, I tried to look at Shin Godzilla in that point of being like, okay, this is a kaiju film, but it's not Godzilla. And I couldn't do it.
No. That's not the way you go into it. You got to go into it looking at it as a remake to Godzilla 98. The way Godzilla 98 was supposed to be a remake or a reboot to Godzilla 54. When you go in looking at it in those lenses, it's good. It really is good. It really is good. Because it's not Godzilla, and that's what makes it perfect. That's what makes it work. When we can see Godzilla 98 is not Godzilla, we can sit there and say that and be like, but it's fun. That's exactly what makes Shin Godzilla fun. And it's not fun because the themes are very dour and shit. But at the same time, looking at it with those lenses, it works. But Godzilla -1 is a different beast altogether. And again, what Legendary has done was resurrect Godzilla in the way, not the way, what's the word? Oh my God. In the same vein as Toho had Godzilla back in the Showa era. Especially in 2014. When I saw that movie, I swear to God, I was like, all I wanted was Godzilla. Destroying everything. How are they going to kill him? What's going to happen? None of that happened. It was Godzilla being, oh my God, dare I say it? Gamera. The balance of the earth.
Dude, that's a spot on point. I call it a retelling.
Ooh, that's
not a reboot or just a retelling. That's what I think. But I think that's a good comparison, Gamera. That's definitely what it feels like. But I love that version of Godzilla. I love him being this equal force that brings balance to the world, that protects his home, and like isn't necessarily a good guy, but he's not going to go out and just destroy humanity. But then yet again, I really like Godzilla being this anti-hero vicious thing, and we're seeing in -1 too. So I love both worlds.
And that's the thing with -1. It's like, is Godzilla being an anti-hero or is he Godzilla being an animal? That was the thing with
That's a good point.
Yeah, that was the thing with Shin Godzilla, and we can argue this to the cows come home, and definitely not me and you, but yeah, everybody that loves the movie. And again, I am not on the fence with the movie anymore. I like the movie. I like the movie. I just look at it a different way. But with Shin Godzilla, it just felt like a brick moving. There was nothing behind that. There's nothing behind this thing. Nothing. And that bothered me.
Yeah, it's interesting to me, and not to cut you off, but like I was thinking about that the other day. If Shin Godzilla just kept walking, what would have happened? If they had just left him alone, would he just like what would he have done?
He would have went back in the water. Japan's an island.
Oh, obviously, he kept going straight. Where'd he go? And he's just going to run in circles at that point.
Japan's an island. He's going back in the water. That was it. He was going back in the water. But with -1, you see the intelligence there, and that's one of the biggest things to me that makes Godzilla great. The intelligence, and you see it throughout the entire cinematic history, with the exception of Shin. There's intelligence. Even in '98, there's intelligence. It knows when to run. It knows when to hide.
In Godzilla versus King Ghidorah, when he's having that moment where he's looking at Shindo in the building, and he's having this emotional moment with him, and like I love that scene. Yeah. But I feel like that's the point where like Godzilla's like, look, I understand, but I gotta do this.
Yeah, and it's sprinkled throughout the entirety of Godzilla movies. So like we see that, and the legendary movies capture that, in my opinion. They capture the intelligence of Godzilla, and I love that. And and they're doing it right. Now we don't know what's going to happen. Like Godzilla versus Kong, which I fucking loved, was more a Kong movie than Godzilla. Kong's in it way more than Godzilla. I ain't mad at that. I got what I came for. Godzilla kicking ass and taking names. He did that. Perfect. But the next movie, we don't know nothing yet. We don't know. All we know is it got pushed back from March to April. Who knows if it gets pushed back any further? None of us. But Toho and Legendary, again, I got to talk about these promo images, especially this latest one. Because, again, we see the comparisons to Legendary's Godzilla, more specifically 2014. Everything Godzilla -1, whether it's a trailer or marketing material, it really harkens back to 2014. And it feels like it's because it's the first time we see this version of Godzilla.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So, and I like that. Legendary did a very good job setting that up. And if it didn't, we wouldn't be 3 movies deep. 3 movies, because I'm counting Skull Island. We would not be Skull Island, King of the Monsters, Godzilla vs. Kong. We would not be that if Legendary didn't do the right thing with it. They did enough, more than enough, in my opinion, because we have a franchise now. We have a franchise. It's not a trilogy. It is a franchise. And I love that. And I say franchise, there's a MonsterVerse show coming on fucking Apple TV, for crying out loud. It's a franchise now. And Toho is looking at this and they're saying, you know what? What's some cool shit that works there? Let's take this underwater, this shot from swimming under the boat. Let's do that. There are plenty of things in there. The posters. You sent the picture. And it really is. When I saw that poster for the first time a couple of weeks ago, the first thing that came to mind was that 2014 poster. It's the same. It's different, but it's the same. One is red, one is blue. But it's the same. And I sit there and I'm like, Another thing. The promotional image that's going to be up as the thumbnail to this podcast of Godzilla, the latest promotional material that you shared yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Where you can see the blue coming up in the spine. That's not a Toho thing. That's a Legendary thing.
You're right.
Look where the lights are. It's starting from the tail. It's not at the tip. You see the top of the spines. They're not glowing. Original Godzilla, that wasn't a thing. Original Godzilla, they flashed. They glowed all at the same time. But Legendary's Godzilla started from the tip of the tail all the way up till he breathes the fire out. And that's what we're seeing in this shot, in that particular picture, the one that I'm going to put up. So it's crazy.
It's a beautiful picture.
It is, but I got to be honest, like I told you yesterday, I swear to God, I thought that was photoshopped. I didn't know, but then when you shared the context and you shared the legit image, I was like, oh my God. But I felt like that was a Godzilla that could be in the Atari, Destroy All Monster games.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely see that. I was kind of like, yeah, he looks. You could tell it's very computer generated.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you can. There's a couple of shots though. While we're talking about Godzilla -1, that one shot that you sent, they did 2 promotional images earlier this week. One of him biting the train or having the train in his mouth, great shot. But the other one of Godzilla just there, in between buildings. Oh my God, that shot.
You see his bulk.
That shot is the money shot. That shot is the money shot. That is what she sees in the train. And we see that reflection when she says, is that Godzilla? That's what we see. That's what we see. And it is absolutely gorgeous. And I love it.
It's hard because it's like, I just want to watch the movie. Like I have that burning in my gut. The radioactive atomic energy is like surging in my gut, man, and I just want to watch this film. I just can't wait to be in that theater and just see like it's gonna be so hard staying away from spoilers. So hard, and because once it drops in November, I hope nothing gets spoiled and I hope nothing gets shown. But knowing how the internet works, it's going to be so hard. But if I can go into this movie fresh, which I'm going to try my hardest, fresh, because it's not going to be that much of a long way. It's December 1st. December 1st, I can make it. November 30th or 31st. I don't remember how many days are in November.
31.
If I can
30.
If I can see tickets on the 30th of November, I will.
No, you're right. It's crazy. It's crazy. We got to stay away. But here's the thing. I don't think we're going to see anything that's so bombastically out there. I honestly don't. I think when you look at these trailers, when you look at these images, this is a Godzilla movie and a Godzilla movie alone. I honestly think that. Now, whether there's 2 Godzillas is something up for debate. At this point in time, I'll be honest, I don't want that. I need one and one only Godzilla. I'm always open to 2 Godzillas. But what I've seen so far, this feels like one. Let me ask you a question, though. What's with the gash on the side of his cheek? You see that? That's a thing.
I've noticed something weird, but do you see it more in that train image?
Not in the train image. The last image, the one where you can see like his full body, like a perfect shot of Godzilla from the movie. The one where you talk about where he's walking through the buildings. You can see it, and to me it looks like, and I may be wrong because it's silly, but it looks like a propeller blade sliced his face. Something cut Godzilla. Something cut him on his cheek from his eye down. He's got an Anakin Skywalker scar. It's weird.
He's a Jedi.
He's a Jedi. That's why they gave him the ridges. That's why they gave him the ridges on his head so they can braid him with the patty.
Yeah, dude, no. It's Gamera, the guardian of all children, and it's Godzilla, the killer of all children. God damn it.
Oh my God.
Okay, so I'm looking at that image of Godzilla in the buildings, and I notice on his left, cheek, there's is that what you're talking about?
That's what I'm talking about. That scar. It's like discolored.
I have noticed that. But also you can see something on his chest, too. like a mark on his chest if you look at it.
Oh, I gotta look at that.
So I don't know. I mean, I think honestly something has to awaken this Godzilla up. So I think you're onto something, but I don't know. But I do see that, yeah.
All I know is I am way. I'm a patient guy, but my patience is running thin. I need this movie in my life as soon as possible, and by as soon as possible, I mean like right now. You know, like legit. I cannot wait for this fucking movie.
I know, and it's hard because it's like Japan, and the thing is it's going to be even worse for us because October is going to be -1 promotion month because the movie comes the 3rd. So it's going to be like Shin Godzilla. Well, if it's anything like Shin Godzilla, starting the beginning of October, we'll be seeing like the TV spots in Japan and stuff like that, and other stuff, interviews with the actors. I mean, I don't know what Toho's going to do marketing-wise on this end. I think they've already done enough because, like, talk about in the only, like, a few days of that trailer, there was, like, almost 5 million views. Mm-hmm. You know, I feel like that marketing is perfectly fine. But it will be tough because not only will we have all of October to worry about it, then after the 3rd in November, we'll have a while too, and it's going to be like, it's just going to be tough. It's going to be so hard. And I'm excited. I'm so excited, but I'm also like scared and nervous because it's like I don't want to go into this Godzilla movie and feel like I've seen everything. And so I'm really hoping this time around, like, you know, I can just stay away from it because, like, with Shin Godzilla, I remember I was pretty kept under the wraps for that until that movie, like, a week before it came out. Then the big spoilers started to come, and that's when we were seeing, like, the bad things, like Shin Godzilla having an alien mouth and all of that stuff and shooting lasers. And that's when I was like, yeah. So I hope this time around I don't see any stuff like that because I don't want to go into Godzilla -1. And I swear I'm gonna make it my mission to not know once like October hits, I'm probably gonna like try and stay, and like if it's promo art, okay, cool, but I think they're going to be done with the promotional art for a bit, but we'll see. Next it's going to be like news stuff and morning stuff, and you know, so that's the stuff to stay away from. Anything video stuff I'm going to have to stay away from, but that also makes me nervous because if anyone else in our podcast panel posts anything too. But
that's true.
you know, I don't know, but I want to make it my mission to go into this movie fresh. The only thing I saw was that trailer. Now, I don't know if they'll put another trailer, maybe in the beginning, you know, or maybe to like as they get closer towards the end of October, we might see one final trailer that shows more. But other than that, I don't want to see anything else.
My brother, listen to me. When I tell you this, I am with you 100%. I am looking at this image. This shit looks like it's Suitmation, bro. And that kills me, knowing that it's not. It's ZG. And it's one of the greatest. This shot is fantastic. And again, the shot now I gotta put multiple shots up on this thing. But this shot right here, I'm looking at it, I'm analyzing it. You see the clock tower behind Godzilla.
Oh, yeah.
That clock tower in the trailer is destroyed, but not all the way. So Godzilla this is right before the bomb, it has to be. Godzilla's girth, Godzilla himself blocks most of this clock tower from being blasted away. But I'm looking at this face, I'm looking at this whole thing, and I'm saying to myself, that is CG. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Because you can literally, you look at this thing, and I'm saying to myself, that looks like a suit. And it feels right as a suit. And when you can blend Suitmation with CG and make it look like this, well then, ladies and gentlemen, we got the greatest thing of all time.
Toho has not retired an old art form. They have incorporated it.
They have
And
incorporated.
have now advanced upon it. And I like that idea. I was thinking about that too. Because to me, like, yes, like, I definitely felt like the parts where Godzilla's stepping on the people in the trailer, that's definitely a suit. You know, it looked so much like the feet of a suit. But I don't know. I know they were saying that apparently all of Shin Godzilla was CGI, but we know that was not true, regardless of what they say. You know, I've seen videos of the guys where Shin Godzilla. Well, actually, no. They're saying that with Shin Godzilla, it was basically all CGI, but there are parts where you can tell it's a puppet.
Yeah, you can see it. It's definitely a puppet.
You know, but with this film, I don't know. I'm interested to learn. I want to. If they put out a concept art book, I'm getting that book. I want to know what they're like the making of. I want to see what they were doing with this film, because I mean, I agree with you that it looks like a suit, but we know it's CGI. So, you know, I'm very curious to what their method is behind this one.
Same. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, that will do it for this episode of the Godzilla Block Party. I want to thank my brother Chase for being here with me.
Oh, absolutely. I want to make one more comment to all of you people that are coming onto my Megalon page and saying that you're just going to pirate the Monarch show because you're too cheap to do a free trial of watching the show or pay $7 to watch Godzilla Monarch. Get out of here and grow up. I think that's a pathetic thing to say. It's $7. You can buy a cheeseburger at McDonald's for less. Don't piss me off.
He's pissed off, people. And that'll do it. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank everybody out there who listened to this. I want to thank again Brother Chase. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely.
And yeah, until the next time, we are out of here. Peace.